Billy, what's going on, man? Excited to do this. Week 2, round 2. Team building skills, man. What could be better than team building skills? We got a lot to talk about today, a lot of information. We're going to take this just conversationally. Try not to put too many questions on you like last week. Too many loaded questions.
You're a crush.
Yeah, but let's jump into it, man. Team building skills. Obviously, this is such a foundational skill for youth athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes to learn when they go. Obviously, the career ends, whatever sport they're playing, baseball, softball, their career ends at some point. This is just such a foundational skill to, take with you into the workplace, into your family life, into all aspects of your life. So, we've got a lot to talk about. But just as a quick introduction, for those of you that don't know, Billy is the owner, operator, founder of Masterful Mechanics here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, specializing in baseball and softball lessons. Billy has a background playing collegiately and professionally, so he brings a ton of value. I mean, just a ton of great insight. And obviously, we go all the way back to high school playing together, but it's always good to have you on here and just chat about some important stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me. First of all, thank you for having me back. I enjoyed our first round. I was looking forward to today. And I know Sam has hit at least one or more home runs off me facing him when we weren't on the same team in Legion Ball and Twilight, maybe. But I know you've hit me hard. So, yeah, Sam had some serious skills, too, here playing baseball.
Well, let's jump into the topic, man. I appreciate that. Let's jump into the topic today. Team building skills. So, I mean, I don't know how in depth your work experience is outside of sports. I myself, the only experience I have working outside of sports was in a corporate job for about 6.5, 7 months, and I can tell the team mentality for those people that didn't play sports versus the people that did play sports is like night and day.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any experience in the corporate realm. I did work in a restaurant, which working in a restaurant, in a kitchen is team skills are huge because you got to rely on each other. You only have two hands, so you can only do so much. So you need your team, your partners, you need to be working all in unity, no matter what job or what field, or, if you're a student, same thing. You need team building skills with your peers, your classmates, your workmates, your family, like you said, is huge. And I think the key is solid and clear communication. That's number one. That's the groundwork for building a solid team is communication.
I agree, man, 100%. And actually, even in that restaurant environment, in my corporate environment, I don't want to go too far off of the sports topic, but you see athletes both positively impacted by their team experience, as a kid or as a youth, as a professional, and positively and negatively, right? Because a lot of athletes never really have that coaching, or they're never really in a good team environment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So obviously this is great information for players to learn, but also for coaches to transfer it to their kids, because you're impacting them for the rest of their life. You're kind of laying the foundation for how they're going to approach all of those other areas of life. And you're 100% correct, man. I agree. It starts with communication. So the way I see communication starting off, especially when you're just starting to form a team and to gel a team together, is you got to build rapport between the players and the coaches.
For sure. And I think that building rapport goes with spending time with each other, outside of the baseball realm or outside of the sports realm or outside of the work realm. It's important to have, more of a relaxed conversation, get to know each other personally rather than just, you're my teammate, you're my coworker. Those things are important. But when you really get to know someone and, their background, their family, where they come from, their culture, then you can really start to build that rapport with them.
Yeah, man. And I agree with getting to know them off the court. The way I see it is people are interested in different things. So I'm interested to hear your take, but my take is that even though you guys might be interested in different things off of the court, there's still that common thread, that common purpose that you guys have interested in sports. So if you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, just think about our relationship, right? Our relationship formed because we had that common interest of playing on the same team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to deepen that relationship, I agree 100% off of the court, but what do you think about, someone that you don't click with? Because there's always those teammates that you don't click with. And I wish I had an answer when I was a player, especially in college, man, because there were just players that just like, for lack of better terms, grinded my gears, man, just always pissed me off. And the reality was it was on me because I didn't see things from their perspective.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The cool thing about baseball and all team sports is you have such a wide array of different types of people, coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, even like different countries as you get into college and pro ball.
Yep.
I played with the guys from the Dominican, from Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Europe, wherever. And it's cool because you got your guy who lives in a rural setting, listens to country music. Then the locker beside him is a guy blasting like some Dominican reggaeton. Yeah. And then the guy beside him, likes heavy metal, whatever. And you can all come together. And I think the way that you can come together is for a common goal. So what is the common goal when you're on a baseball team? In my opinion, it is to improve yourselves as baseball players and as people. And the main goal is to win a championship or to win a ring or win a state title, whatever your league you're playing in, you want to win it. It's just, that's how sports go. So I think if you can even if you don't agree with someone and their views, if you can, especially, and this starts from the top down, from the manager, the coaches, to the team captains, all the way down to the guy who, never gets any playing time, you all have to want to have that common goal of winning. So I think that helps you relate to people, even if, you don't see eye to eye all the time.
Yeah, man. And it has to be clearly stated what the outcome is.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it might be implicit or it might be, implied by just putting the team together, to win a conference championship, to, go to the national tournament, to win a state championship, whatever level you're at, even if you think it's implied, if the top, from the top down, if the coach never talks about it, if the head coach never talks about it, the assistant coaches never talk about it, if you have management, if they never talk about it, and they never clearly state, hey, our goal, our objective is to win the championship. If they never talk about it, then you can't just expect expect the players to all buy into that.
Right. And I think that starts with the first day of practice or first team meeting. As a coach, you want to lay down your own goals and then kind of relate them so everyone on the team can see, where you're coming from. So if your main goal is, to win that championship, then I would start the meeting or the first practice with that. Guys, we can all come together and we can do something great. Not only can we improve ourselves as athletes and humans, but we can also come together for one goal and win a championship if we really, put our hearts and souls and work into it.
Man, and this just came to me. I think the perfect example of that is Phil Jackson. If you've seen The Last Dance, Phil Jackson at the very beginning of the season gives them their handbook, and it literally says, "This is the last dance," implying that shit's gonna blow up after this season, right? We might not be here, but our goal is to win the championship and to make the most out of this last season together. I mean, you can't be any clearer than that, and you can't be any more transparent.
Right. And Phil Jackson is a great example. One of the best coaches of all time, obviously. There were some other aspects I wanted to bring up about him. I just read one of his books that was really interesting. He wrote a few different books, but he brings a lot of team building skills into the way that his team plays, even with legends like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan on his team. he still had, it probably was even more difficult when you have a superstar like that to rally the troops and everyone to work together when, oh, this guy's getting all the press, scoring all the points. But the people, the other 4 guys on the court are just as important as him if they want to win.
100%, man. And a big nugget that I've always taken away from Phil Jackson is that he meets players where they're at. You see a lot of even collegiate coaches, high school coaches, youth coaches, they want to impose their will. They want to impose their dominance. They want to impose, their way on the players, right? The example with Dennis Rodman, even though it's a little extreme, he knew who Dennis Rodman was as a player. Mm-hmm. He knew the type of personality he was getting with Dennis Rodman. He didn't try to form. He didn't try to mold Dennis Rodman. He literally met Dennis Rodman where he's at. Okay, Dennis, you need to go to Vegas for a couple of days. Listen, go do it. I'm not, and I know that's such a drastic example. That's such a drastic case of meeting a player where they're at. But just think about it in their team dynamics of a high school team or a collegiate team. Yeah. You know what I mean? Some players they're people players, right? They like interacting with other teammates. They like pleasing their coaches. They like pleasing their teammates. The other players are just like, hey, let me alone. Let me work on my skill. Let me develop my skill. And the other players are, the ultra competitive, ultra in your face. So it's like meeting those athletes, meeting those players where they're at, is a great way to start to get the trust and get the backing of all of those players.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Bill Jackson said he had to coach Michael Jordan way different from how he coached Kobe Bryant or like a Ron Artest or Scottie Pippen, or like with Dennis Rodman. And the thing is, as a coach, you got to see, what is this player's personality and what is the best way to motivate them to buy into our ultimate goal. So you're not going to just be able to spew the same bullshit to everyone and expect everyone to be on board. In that team meeting, obviously, you're talking to everyone as a group, but when you coach, you coach individually as well as team wise. So sometimes you're going to have to coach different players in a different way. Some are going to need a kick in the ass and some are going to need you to put your arm around them and say, hey man, everything's going to be okay. It's just a game. I know you're trying your best, but I'm here with you. We're going to win together. We're going to lose together and we're going to have fun, hopefully have fun doing it together.
Yeah, together is an important piece, man, because you have that accountability, you have that support, you just have that system together. I want to share, whoever watches this, whether it's live or on the recording, the very best thing I did to get the trust and to start building a community. This was in like my 3rd or 4th year of coaching, right? It was from a John Wooden book. Obviously, everyone knows John Wooden is one of the best coaches of all time. Is John Wooden at the very beginning of every single season he was going to sit down his team. He sat down his team and he said, listen, and this is the guy that, won, what was it, 11 NCAA championships. He said, you guys are all different. And he used the term snowflakes. He said, you're all snowflakes. And now snowflakes gets a bad connotation today for being soft and all that, right? But he said, you're all snowflakes. You're all unique. You're all different in your own aspect, right? You have your own background. You have your own skill set. You have your, own personality. You have your own character. And you all, because of that, deserve different treatment. And I'm going to be the one that decides what that treatment is. And once I was able to take that, just sitting my team down and saying, hey, you guys are all different. You all deserve different treatment in front of everyone, in front of the whole team. So they know when you're talking to someone a specific way or you're coaching someone a specific way, they don't get that thought in the back of their mind that says, why is he talking to him like that and not like that to me? Mm-hmm. So it sets the stage that everyone's going to get different treatment. And it's not favoritism. It's not because you don't like somebody. It's because you have their best interest at heart and you're the coach, right? So you should genuinely feel like you're doing the best thing for that player.
Right. Because players are really good at sniffing out the bullshit, of things that the coach or the manager is going to tell them. So
yeah,
as a manager or coach, you want to come and you want to be completely open and be honest, even if it's something that the player doesn't want to hear. You have to be open with them and you have to be transparent, because even kids, even kids young as 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they can tell when they're being lied to. They can tell when you don't really care, and they can tell when you're just there either to get a paycheck or just because, you want to be the coach. You want the notoriety of being the head coach. They can tell that. And they can also tell, on the other hand, when you're coming from a place of love, from a place of trust, and a place of really supporting them, in your common goal. So that's why I think it's important to be, like you said, come out and, tell everyone your plan, tell them where you're coming from, and make everything completely transparent so everyone's on the same page.
Here's another example. John Case. John, how's it going, man? It's a case of Jimmy Johnson concept of you don't treat everyone the same. Michael Irvin was treated differently. Yeah, Michael Irvin was an incredible personality. A lot of those Dallas Cowboy players have unique personality, man. Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge part of his success. Now, obviously, he's had a lot more success than you or I have, but just from observers and practicing this stuff ourselves, we can see how that can be so effective. Jimmy Johnson, also another great coach. So what at the youth level, right? Let's take the high school level player, for example, right? Say he's not getting along with his teammates, or he's not getting along with his coach, and it's maybe the middle of the season, because I found myself into this trap a lot as a player too, and maybe you can relate. I know there's a lot of players that can. They're on a team. Their coach hasn't set the standard, right, for developing some rapport with the team. How can you? I'll give you my 2 cents, and I'd like to hear your 2 cents too. If you're a player stuck in that situation where it's a bad team environment, right, with a bad coach, or you don't get along with this particular teammate or multiple teammates, I think it's really important to, number one, be grateful. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week, but also try to see things from their point of view, because everyone's interested in different things. And I have 5 categories. We can go deeper into this, but I'd like to hear your 2 cents on that first.
Yeah, that's a great question, great subject. For this, like you said, to be grateful. I mean, even if you don't agree with your coach, you're not agreeing with your teammates, you're not on the same page, at least you're grateful that you're still on the team and playing the game, which is awesome. But our goal is for everyone to mesh and come together, and to have team unity. So I think it's important for the coaches to start, like we said, from the top down, and you have to be open, you have to talk, you have to communicate with your players. And then, if the team needs to figure something out, the teammates, like maybe 1 or 2 teammates don't agree or more than that, I think you kind of try as the coach to let the team handle it themselves at the high school level, high school, college, and beyond. Because these are basically, almost grown men in high school. They got to be able to have some life skills and to communicate with their teammates. When they get into the workplace, they're not always going to agree with everyone. So it might help to step out of the picture and let the team handle it on their own, while still, keeping a watchful eye that, no one's throwing haymakers or anything. But, it might be helpful for someone to get aired out, and somebody to cuss somebody out on the team and, tell them what's up, and, you're being selfish and you're not, you're being an asshole and you're not treating the teammates how we want to be treated. And sometimes a player needs to hear that, and see that multiple guys feel that way, and maybe that will help them kind of connect. And it goes again with being honest and being open. Sometimes, you got to air somebody out.
Full transparency, man. Yeah, absolutely. I know at the very beginning of this, we talked about communication, right? And that's such a beautiful way to communicate. And I say beautiful and really mean that, because to get through to someone, you have to go to the extreme sometimes, right? I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, and he curses in such strategic ways, right? He'll be giving a presentation and he'll just drop the F-bomb, right? But it's to get a point across, right? Or he'll start yelling to get a point across. And sometimes, as part of communication, that needs to happen. That needs to happen. So Jimmy Johnson also coined the phrase QTL, which is so important. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was an excellent coach. Jimmy Johnson dealt with so many different personalities, man. It's unbelievable. Any tips, any pieces of advice for like a high school coach, a high school, or even just like a high school age coach, whether it's your travel team, something along those lines?
Yeah, for sure. I think getting if we're sticking to baseball here, getting the kids off the diamond together is really going to help them connect and also help you connect with them. Especially if you can do it in a manner of maybe doing like volunteer work, cleaning up trash or whatever, anything that's going to bring them together to work towards a common goal, whether it might be, going in to the hospital and reading to people who are sick, or having a cleanup crew, or just going out and getting wings or whatever for wing night. But then these players can see each other outside of the performance realm.
Yeah.
And make connections like, oh, this guy likes the same kind of food I do. Look what's on TV. He watches that too, when they never would have thought that they would connect it with that guy before.
I want to give a awesome example, and I wish I remembered the name of this team, right? So it was a travel baseball team, and you know how much BS and how much money and politics is in travel baseball. But this was honestly one of the coolest teams I've ever heard of. And I can't remember their name. I believe they were out of New York, and they had multiple age groups, right? All the way from like 9 or 10 years old, all the way up through high school age players. The leader or the manager of the entire organization, right, required 50 hours. There was no price to join the team. No price, right? Travel baseball can be thousands of dollars. There was no price to join the team. You had to, number one, be selected, right? They weren't recruiting or anything like that. You had to, it was a strenuous trial process. But to be on the team, you had to go through 50 hours of community service with other players.
That's awesome.
That will be part of that team. 50 hours of community service. And I forget how they raised the money, like fundraising and things like that. But it was all stuff off the field to be a part of the team on the field. I mean, how cool is that?
That's genius, honestly. That's the travel ball team I would want my kid to play for,
Absolutely, man.
Has somebody that's down to earth and knows that, there's more important things than playing travel baseball, such as, doing volunteer work or, helping the less fortunate, things like that. And that actually is going to build teamwork. And then that also is going to improve your focus when you get on the field, because I'm here to do a job. There's other things going on outside in the world that are way more important than baseball, but now I'm here and I can focus on the game, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that.
100%, man. 100%. We got a great comment here. Heels. In a situation where you have a lot of players that are naturally selfish, such as an all-star team, where most players are only concerned about their own accomplishments, what can be done to create a better sense of team unity and reduce internal conflict among players and coaches? Man, how many teams, Heels, thanks for commenting, man. We miss you. We both miss you. And congrats on the upcoming kid.
Good for him.
How many teams, like professional teams, college teams, have this awesome off season, and they gather all of these all-star players, all of these big-time contracts? I think the Yankees would be the perfect example, or maybe even the Mets. I feel like the Mets are even better at this, that getting all these profile contracts and just completely tanking when the season starts. The Yankees are definitely a good example too, but those are definitely the two prominent ones. Maybe New York exaggerates it a little bit because of the media and things like that, but create a better sense of team unity and reduce internal conflict among players and coaches. Man, you have to get on the same page. You have to get on the same page. We can go a little bit deeper on this for just a second. So people are primarily interested in 5 things, right? And this is meta. This is above everything else. So people are interested in people. People are interested in places. People are interested in things, right? Material things. They're interested in activity, right? Doing different things. And they're interested in information. So there's people that you naturally click with, right? Because you have a same primary interest. So how do you find that primary interest and gather all of those different primary interests and get them together on the same team? But yeah, let me hear what you have to say about that, creating a sense of team unity with all-star players.
I think it comes back to that, having a common goal. I mean, why are you playing professional baseball at a high level? You know, it starts with the manager to have this conversation. So why are you even here? You know, and maybe you could do an activity where, you know, everybody writes on a note card, you know, what they're trying to get out of the season, and then you read them. You see how many like people say the same thing, and then you can kind of go from there. But I think, you know, even the players who have big contracts, you know, they get all the fame. I mean, why are they here? They probably want to win ball games, right? And you have that conversation with them. The best way that we're going to be able to win ball games is playing together. I mean, all the best teams I were on, you know, we all vibed as a team. We all meshed. We all rallied behind each other. When someone was struggling or when someone did well, we congratulated them. If everyone's just playing for themselves in a team sport, like you're saying with the Mets or even the Yankees, they didn't win a World Series, and they had all that talent. It helps to get behind each other and to support each other for that common goal, you know? So even if it's an all-star team and, like, you know, they have big contracts, it doesn't mean that you're going to win automatically unless you can play together.
Yeah, I agree. Let me be really clear here, though. There's definitely a huge difference between, okay, you have an all-star team in a professional league, which is completely driven by money, compared to a college team where you're actively recruiting these players. Mm-hmm. You know, and they're not playing just to be playing college. Obviously, they might want to win championship, but they want to get to the next level, right? A lot of times in professional sports, you hear about, you know, the professional player got his contract and then he kind of, you know, relaxes a little bit, or he got paid. This happens in the NFL a lot, man. You know, players come from a lot of, you know, low income families and they get paid. That's the only reason they wanted to get to the league, to get paid, to take care of their family, which is a great motivation. But in a sense of team building, that's a complete another animal to deal with. So definitely a huge difference between high school, college, and professional teams. Calipari on here to answer that question. Absolutely, John. Calipari, number one, he might be one of the best at getting all-star players to work together. Or Coach K with Team USA. But then Team USA, you got a lot of you know, guys that just want to win the gold medal. So that's different.
Yeah,
baseball is different than other sports, though. It's a individual game with a team concept at lower levels. Yeah, actually, I had an English teacher in high school that made the argument that baseball was the most selfish and individual sport out of all of the major sports. He said he said there was less of a team dynamic in baseball than wrestling. I would love to get him on here and debate and just kind of pick his brain, but that's just something that really stuck out with me. So it is definitely different per team, per sport too.
But I think the people that have played baseball for a long time and have been on many teams or played at a higher level know the importance of working together and playing as a team. Even if you have the best players in the world, you know, you're not going to win a championship if you can't play together. If the pitcher and the catcher aren't on the same page, you know, if your leadoff runner and your second or your leadoff hitter and your number 2 hole guy aren't on the same page when they're going to hit and run, when they're going to do whatever, you know, like you need to really be on the same page. Even in baseball, it seems like it's more of an individual sport because like you're up to bat, you know, it's just you versus the pitcher, but you also need your teammates either on base, you know, to score when you get a hit, or to support you from the dugout, because you know that, you know, even if I do well, they're going to support me. And even if I don't perform as well as I can, they're still going to be there for me and pick me up.
Yeah, not to get too spiritual, but there is definitely an energy. There's definitely a momentum when people align, when their energy aligns, when their goals, their outcomes align, when their passion aligns. There's definitely an energy to that, you know, and you can definitely tell the difference between people forcing it.
Right.
And, you know, you've probably been in dugouts where, you know, people were just trying to get hype, just trying to get some energy going. And you've been in dugouts where shit, things are just going really well, right? Whether you got a couple of game winning streak going, whether the season's going really well, you just got a couple innings where things are flowing. There's an energy to it, man. There's a natural energy. There's a natural flow to it. So you can call that whatever you want, right? God, Allah, different spirit, right? The baseball guys, man, it's real. It's real. And people that have felt it know it.
Yeah, it's like an unconscious flow state. You know, things, when you're working together, things just sort of flow, and you don't have to press, you don't have to push it. You know, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be forced. It just kind of naturally it happens. The stars align, and, you know, everything falls into place. And that's the same with life too. You know, when you get good people on your team, you have good communication in your relationships, things, and you're optimistic and you're grateful for what you have, things just kind of seem to fall into place. You know, not everything's going to be perfect, of course, but the more grateful and the better you are at communicating with other people, the better relationships and the more gifts you're going to encounter without forcing it.
I agree, man. Communication is key. And one final note I'll leave with, and you can leave a final note as well. You have to be adaptable. I see one of the biggest issues that, you know, talking to players and coaches is that youth players, high school coaches, college coaches, it's like it's my way or the highway. It's my way or no way. You have to be flexible. You have to adapt. If you want to build this team thing, if you want to build this unity between your players for a common goal, you have to be adaptable. Now, it's not being sleazy. It's not being, you know, a snake or anything like that. It's adapting to communicate. The meaning of your communication. This is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in 2020. The meaning of your communication is the response that you get. It's not what you want to say. It's not what you feel or anything like that. It's the response that you get. The only reason you're saying something is because you want to get a response. And hopefully you're doing it ethically and morally and all that good stuff. But anyways, that's my closing thoughts for you.
Yeah, I agree. There's a saying that you should listen to, or hear to listen, not respond. You know, when someone's talking to you, you know, your goal isn't to make up a good response. Sometimes they just need you to listen and then, you know, nod your head. Yeah, I understand, you know, and put your arm around them maybe, you know, and just tell them that I support you. You don't always need like a logical response when someone needs to talk to you.
100%, man. I agree. Billy, thank you for coming on here and putting your website up, Masterful Mechanics. You can go check him out. Check out his website, his new YouTube channel. He's got some videos not only on the fundamental side, but on the mental side as well. Go check it out. Subscribe to his channel. If you like the video, obviously hit the thumbs up. If you think that this is something that your coach or another coach or player needs to hear, please share it. Get the word out there. We're coming from a place of sincerity and genuine love for not only baseball, but the mental side of all athletes, because it's such a foundation for these young men and young women developing. So anyways, Billy, great to have you on, man. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good, Sam. Thanks for having me.